I'm so sick of this weekend. I don't even want to hear.
All right, welcome back to This Takes the Cake. We're super excited and honored. We have a very special guest here. Her name is Kerry, and she is with the Wedding app. And I'm so excited to talk all these fun details about the Wedding app. So tell us a little bit about you, how you got involved in the wedding industry, and how we met.
Yes. So I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, but I actually graduated from Coastal Carolina.
Go Chanticleers.
Yes, so happy back in Myrtle Beach. It's funny because I feel like CCU alumni just like tend to gravitate towards each other even post-college.
Right.
But I have been working in the event industry for 11 years, working with high-profile corporations and celebrities within sports, entertainment, and high-tech software companies. During the pandemic, however, corporate events took one of the largest hits, which ultimately led me into pivoting into the wedding industry.
Right.
And we initially met, so I first heard of Stunning and Brilliant events at the Wedding MBA in Vegas last year.
Yes.
I was super impressed by y'all's booth and the team of girls
Love
you
it.
had. So I just felt myself gravitating towards you guys. I'm like, ooh, they look fun.
And little did you know, I was a CCU alumna.
Of course. I was so happy when I heard that. And then earlier this year, I got invited to a networking event called Heels and Handshakes.
Yep.
And I saw that you were a speaker at the networking event. So I slid into her DMs and asked if we could finally meet since you'll be in Charlotte.
Right, I know. It's so great. And I grew up in Charlotte area, so it's so crazy the connection between Charlotte and Myrtle Beach and the back and forth that people do between here. So,
Yes.
yeah, no, that's awesome.
Love that.
Cool. Okay, so tell us how you started this app. It's not every day someone just starts an app.
It's funny because I never thought I was going to have a tech startup.
Right.
So really it became multiple reasons. So I ended up going back into corporate events, and I was really impressed by the technology people were using for large conferences to be able to interact with other exhibitors and be notified when keynote speakers were going on stage. And at the time, my now husband, but boyfriend at the time, we just moved in with each other. We were talking about marriage, so naturally I was already planning like what my wedding was going to look like.
Right.
And I was thinking like I would love to have an app like this for our wedding to be able to communicate with all of our guests.
Right.
I think it would be really great to kind of get everybody more involved and get to know each other even in advance. And I played with the idea. I reached out to some of the conference apps saying, hey, is this something you can do for weddings? And although they customize it for conferences, it really wasn't tailored for weddings and registries and the wedding party. And so I kind of just sat down at the table. I'm like, all right, well, it's just not going to happen. And then the post-pandemic year, I had 12 weddings in 1 year that I was a guest at.
Oh my gosh.
And
27 dresses, not really, but yeah.
And I just noticed there was such a gap in communication between like couples, planners, and the guests. Where like as wedding planners, we are really focused on communicating with the couples and the vendors to make sure everything's running smoothly. But corporate events, we're also really focused on the guest experience. So I was trying to figure out how I could bridge the gap and create a really cool guest experience for wedding guests.
Right. No,
And
absolutely.
when I was going to those 12 weddings that year, I went to one wedding and there was a 2-hour break between the ceremony and
Oh my
the
gosh.
cocktail hour.
Is it a Catholic wedding?
It was, yes.
Yes.
And we didn't know that there was that in-between break. And so we're texting our family members, trying to figure out where's everyone going. Do you want to grab a drink in between? I know if I go back to the hotel room, I'm going to fall asleep. So I got to keep the momentum going.
Right.
And then we finally get to the venue, and we were doing laps around this building. We could not find out where the ballroom was. I couldn't find any signage. We eventually saw a group of nicely dressed people kind of walking into the venue space and followed them into elevators that I did not see. And at that point, I was like, all right, this app needs to be made, not only just for my own wedding, but for other weddings for guests. Like, people need to have the ability to
know
be
what's going
notified.
on.
Yeah, what's happening.
So is that when it clicked and you were like, you couldn't figure out where the wedding was or how to get there?
Absolutely.
Like,
And I'm sure the wedding website probably mentioned something, but for me, wedding websites are out of sight, out of mind, and I really needed to
Yeah.
have something that's tangible in my hand that's reminding me of where I need to be at.
No, absolutely. And I mean, it's a genius concept of what you've created because there's nothing else out there like that. So as a very type A person, when I go to a wedding, I mean, even though we're not planning it or doing anything, like I still want to know, what are they eating? Oh my God, I love that band. Who's the name of that band?
Absolutely.
You know, and with this app, I mean, they can know all that stuff. So maybe you went to a wedding and you love the band, you want to hire them for a party, you have access to know who they are and how to get in contact with them.
Yeah, so the app has a vendors section in it. And what I love seeing on Instagram now is people are tagging who their florist is, who their wedding planner is. So this is kind of taking that concept. So even after you attend a wedding, when the wedding concludes, it will go to like a forever after section. But you can go back and see who all the vendors are they booked for that wedding in case you ever want to rebook their services.
No, absolutely. I mean, because even when I've attended a wedding, like maybe I didn't know who the caterer was and the food was awesome. You know, you want to know because they don't. It's not like they're advertising, you know, who's there and what's happening. And sometimes even if you reached out to the bride or the groom, they may know, oh, I don't remember the name, you know.
Yes.
So no, it's a really, really cool concept.
Thank
So, okay, so what communication issues does the wedding app help fix? Obviously, how to get there.
Yes. So there are, you can communicate directly with the guests that are attending. So
That's so cool.
So all the guests can see who the other guests are. So really think of it like a social hub. You have a profile. You can say what school you went to, what city you're from, or you even have relationship status because I was trying to set up some of my single girlfriends. But you can...
Little matchmaker.
Of course. So it's like a dating app and a wedding app at the same time.
Right? I know a lot of people I've met at weddings that are now married. So.
Yes, the people who I'm staying with here in Myrtle Beach, they met at a wedding.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
And they both went to Coastal and they didn't know each other at school.
That's cool.
But so guests can communicate directly with each other or even as a group. So kind of how like Instagram works. You can do group messages. Also, it's a great way for your wedding planners to be able to contact family members to remind them, hey, family photos are happening after the ceremony.
That is genius.
Thank you. And
so genius. You know how many times they don't show up? Oh, I didn't know.
Yes. I definitely recommend couples to let their family members know if they're planning on taking photos though too.
Yeah, no,
in
of
advance.
course. No, absolutely.
And then there's also a community feed, very similar to Facebook, where everybody who is invited to that wedding can communicate with each other. So if you want to figure out what everyone's wearing, or hey, we just landed, we're at the lobby bar, where's everyone going after the wedding? Or in my case, at my wedding, someone lost their shoes at the venue and we were able to reunite those shoes with their owners by using the app to be able to communicate with everyone.
And that's so awesome because in the night of a lot of weddings, there's like shoes, number one, always left, and clutches, you know, and we're always trying to dig through and find a license, but we don't ever have a phone number to contact them. So no, that's really cool. A big thing here is very destination of our clients that come into town. So they want to rent houses. So I'm guessing, you know, communicating, hey, does anybody want to rent a house together? You know, I mean, you could do that through the
Absolutely.
platform.
So there is a hotel feature in the app. So if you have any like room blocks you want to put in there, and I broke it down between two. I put preferred hotels and nearby because there's many times where I go to a wedding website and they have a list of 4 or 5 hotels, but I'm like, well, what hotels everyone's staying at? I want to stay where everyone else is staying at.
Right.
So just like you mentioned, even with an Airbnb, you can write on that community chat saying, hey, we have a house that fits 20 people. Does anyone want to go in on it? Or which hotel is everyone staying at? So then everyone else can be more in the loop of and planning together too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I think that's awesome that you have all those features. So, okay, so the benefits obviously from planners and other vendors from, you know, the actual app. I mean, a huge thing is being able to communicate like transportation. So we use a ton of transportation. So let's say it's picking up, you know, Bob and Sally at this house, but they're running late. So then it's going to obviously, you know, domino affect everything. So we could reach out and say, hey, you know, the shuttle's running about 5 minutes late. Like, it didn't forget you type thing.
Yes.
Right?
And you can do that in the community, or push notifications are going to be a wedding planner's best friend. And that is really good because you can do those alerts saying the shuttles have arrived. But also push notifications, you can let people know what's happening during the wedding too. So ceremony is about to begin, please take a seat. Or maybe there is a rain delay and you want to notify everyone that it's going to be pushed back 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So you will have that ability to send those notifications to everyone.
And even if it only, like, let's just say only 20 people actually read their notification, didn't have their phone, they're going to obviously talk and tell the guests around them too, which is kind of like amazing.
Yes. So now everyone can get more
versus
informed.
us walking around, hey, we're going to delay the ceremony 5 minutes and we're having to go to 200 people.
Yes. And I always think about too, because many times I feel like wrangling the guests and letting them know like we're transitioning into the next room. Many people are either in the middle of a conversation, the music's loud, drinks are involved, maybe someone's in the restroom, they didn't hear the announcement. So most people do have their cell phones on them.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it is a great way, kind of just giving everyone that alert at that same time.
Right. No, for sure. Maybe grandma doesn't have her phone on her, but her
kids will tell her.
Yeah. One of the kids will definitely have it on them. So that's cool. Okay. Let's talk about the seating charts and guest management, the features of this as well.
Yeah. So there is a digital seating chart. It may not be for everyone. So
of course,
we end up using so I got married in April, and we can talk about my wedding in a little bit, but we end up using the digital seating chart and release it a week before the wedding.
Love it.
So I was able to let everyone know who they're sitting with in advance, which also allows people to know, like, oh, maybe I don't know some of these people. I'm going to introduce myself to them when I'm there. Or they can just stalk their Instagram profile or their profiles on the app and get to know who they are ahead of time. And normally I'm very strategic about why I'm putting people together. So maybe they did all go to the same school or from the same area, and that's why I'm bringing them together. But it's also really good for any last minute changes. I feel like that always happens at weddings.
Always.
And you have a printed board and you need to
Happened
change
this weekend. We didn't even get to use the boards because it changed so much, last minute. Yeah. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, it does happen. It
so
happens a lot.
If 6 people aren't going to be at this table, you don't want to have a table with only 2 people. So you got to, maneuver. And I mean, life is real. Things happen. So to be able to have that's really cool. Or a lot of times people like not even see it, and then they get over there like, where is my table? Where am I sitting?
And so what we did, we had a digital board at our venue and told everyone saying, please check out the wedding app to see your assigned seat. But also, again, they are able to see it ahead of time. So I think there's been times where I've gone to weddings and I'm scrambling around trying to find my name, or like, where's table 7? And kind of like chicken with their head cut off. Like, I don't know where I'm going. So this will help like streamline the process too. And you can also, if you wish, you can include where those tables are at in that.
Like a layout.
You can include the layout in the app too. So they can already know, oh, table 7's by the bar. They know me so well. This is perfect.
Right? No, that's awesome. And it could honestly, like, let's just say someone didn't RSVP by accident or whatever, and then they get the seating chart and they're like, I'm not on there.
Yes.
Then they could shoot a message real quick and be like, oops, I don't see my name, and you could definitely, get that all figured out before day of and it's all set up. So, no, that's cool. Okay, what would you say has been the biggest impact on users of the whole app?
I really think the communication feature is what's going to change the way we experience weddings. It really will. I think it's going to replace wedding websites. And And they can use it. They still can share all their information, and it has everything a wedding website would have in the app. But having that communication feature is going to make it a lot easier and just make people feel like they're more involved in the wedding too. I know a wedding is about the couple, but sometimes we got to remember people are taking time off work and they're paying to travel and they're about to spend a weekend with people they don't know that well. So by being able to get them more involved and included and make them in a more comfortable setting, I think that's really going to change the experience for everybody.
Right. No, for sure. We're using it with a wedding in Mexico. And so, like, for everybody to be able to communicate about flights and when they're getting in, because when you're traveling to another country, if they've never traveled, to another country, it can be a little intimidating. So if they know that, at least maybe they don't know them, but there's 3 other people on their same flight and they're landing together, they could easily Uber or shuttle over, together so they feel more comfortable. So kind of even a safety thing too. If they all get lost, and they'll be lost together versus 1 or 2 people.
Oh, that's what happened at my wedding.
Oh,
everyone's flight got canceled, and everybody in the Charlotte airport was messaging each other too, trying to find out alternative plans. Because of that, I ended up having to push my welcome party back a few hours, but I was able to notify everyone the new time by using the app, I like how you mentioned destination weddings too, because the schedule tab, a lot of people are making it a weekend affair. It's not just a one-day thing anymore. So many times people they might be doing a catamaran ride, or they have a pool day. So you can do a day-by-day breakdown in the app. You can also collect RSVPs of each activity too, if you wish. If you want to know who wants to go in the catamaran ride, you can include the website where to register for those activities too, and it syncs directly to your smartphone calendars.
That's so cool. That's awesome. All right, so let's talk about your wedding and how you utilize the app and things that, life is real, things happen, and things that you had to alert people for. So
So my wedding was a very non-traditional wedding. We got married at the Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood, Florida. It was a full-on...
Which is a really cool hotel venue if you've never been there, so...
And we got married in the club.
You did?
Day club, nightclub.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Completely different type of atmosphere.
The one upstairs or the one...
All of it.
Yeah, okay.
We used the roof, we used the pool, and we used the nightclub. So there was a lot of moving pieces, and that's where...
And that's a big hotel.
It is a big hotel. Yeah. But that's where the app really came in place, because I was able to alert people where those different movements and when those different movements were happening. So I know I did mention already the flights were canceled. So that is how the app was kind of saved the day of notifying everyone of the changes.
So was it a direct flight? They were flying from Charlotte to Fort Lauderdale?
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of people had to fly into different cities. Some people flew into Greenville and Atlanta, and then they were able to fly into there. But also just creating the invitation. So you can do it direct through text, kind of like Evite. I still like the personal invitations to have a keepsake too.
Yeah, of course. Something
you get
tangible.
Your engagement photos.
Right.
So you got to throw those in. But so I ended up doing one invitation instead of a save the date and a formal. So it was a one and done, save the date, and I had the QR code on the back saying all further communication is going to be used through the app.
And did you do a little QR code that they scanned to download the app? Okay.
Yes. And then the app also can do, once they scan it, create a profile. If they still haven't RSVP'd, it can do automated text reminders coming from the wedding app. So it's not having to come from the couples. Why haven't you RSVP'd? It's more of the wedding app wants to remind you to RSVP. If you don't do it by this date, you might be removed.
You're right, yeah.
It doesn't actually remove you. The couples that still have to
for sure
physically remove you.
Yeah.
So coming from my background in corporate events, I really wanted to give my guests a red carpet launch experience. So I did beta test the app on my own wedding because I trust in this app so much. I'm willing to put my biggest day at risk for this app. But it was so much fun. We had Elvis impersonators there. We had entertainers there. We really utilized all the digital screens that Dare had to offer. And
so during the wedding, the whole weekend, so you alerted them about the welcome party because it got moved back. Is there anything else you had to alert them? Just curious,
more so the lost items that we were able to reunite. And then we also had the shared photo albums. So I know there are apps out there already, which is the good thing about this app is it's already integrated. So it really is an all-in-one solution. So we were able to share photos afterwards as well. And then even when I got my link from my photographer, I was able to put that in the community feed after the wedding was over, letting people know that they could all have access to my photos.
Right. No, that's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, because a lot of times people don't use the QR for everybody to connect. So to be able to have that all in one is amazing. So that's cool. Anything else with your wedding that you want to share that with the app that you maybe added or did anything? Did you remind them ceremony starting in 5 minutes? Did you do those things?
We did, yeah. We had the push notifications to remind people. So we end up having our cocktail hour before the ceremony.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That way I guaranteed everyone was there on time for the ceremony.
That's a good way
but we were able to send those reminders even the morning of hey, it's wedding day. Don't forget to arrive by 4:15.
Right.
Get everybody there in time.
No, that's awesome. And did everybody stay at the hotel?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Majority of the people stayed at the hotel.
No, that's awesome. Because, with the app, you'd be like, hey, anybody want to meet at the blackjack table and, play or whatever, so it's
I
pretty cool.
love, seeing the community feed and everyone interacting, because that definitely did happen. Or the day after the wedding, everyone went to the pool, so everyone's meeting up at the pool too.
Right.
So it was great to see everyone come together.
It's a really cool pool if you've never been there. So it's really nice. All the cabanas and everything. Okay, so from concept to launching it, I mean, I know nothing about wedding apps, but like, how long was that process?
When I found my developers, it took about 9 months. So it truly is my baby.
Literally.
But it was a process, even just trying to figure out how
Have you ever met these people? Because I know a lot of them are overseas. I'm just curious.
They are overseas,
Okay.
just Zoom calls. So
Okay.
finding developers was an interesting hurdle, because there's 3 ways you can approach it. You can either do in-house team, which you have to pay someone's salary and health benefits, and I didn't have the funds to do that. But I ended up going with a agency route with them, and I made a post on LinkedIn, and I had about 200 people email me.
I'm sure.
I had to shut down my LinkedIn, and I ended up interviewing 16 agencies, narrowed it down to my top 3, and then I was able to decide which one I was going to work with based on my vision and also my budget.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm always getting like, in quotation, junk emails. It's like, oh, do you want to create an app? We'd love to help, you know? So I was just curious about that process. So the agency, did you interview a few before you picked? Okay.
Yes,
All right,
I
cool.
interviewed about 16.
Oh, Jesus. Right? Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I had the right agency.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so as you've built it, obviously as the company grows too, like it's going to have the ability to withhold all of these brides and grooms and couples. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, wedding website, I think will eventually go away too. I mean, it's kind of like a business card. Obviously, we still have tangible ones, but we all have the digital QR code people can scan. So we were becoming a very digital world. Like, I don't even have a calendar anymore. My phone is my calendar, you know? So did they talk about the capacity of like how many couples you could ever hold on this app, or you know what I mean?
From my knowledge, it is we are on AWS cloud storage, so we have a very large storage.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just curious. There's so many. I don't even know how many millions of people, you know, get married. Do you know, or
There's about 2 million weddings a year.
is there? So if you could get half of those, right? I love it. I love it. All right, so you have a story about your wedding entrance that would take the cake. So tell us what happened.
So we really were going with the full Hollywood theme, and instead of doing a first dance, we ended up deciding to do an entrance music video.
I love it.
And I really love the trend that's going on right now of the kind of black and white hotel lobby engagement shoots that are happening, and I wanted to make that into a mini movie.
I love it.
And Nearly Wed end up reposting my friend's video and got over 1 million views.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
But with 1 million views comes lots of comments. So
Good and bad.
Good
Now I'm
and
going to go read them.
and I know it's so easy for me to focus on the negative comments, but I will say there's probably a lot more positive than negative. But I was just so surprised. People were literally battling each other in the comment section. And it wasn't even their wedding. I'm like, these people are standing up for me. This is great. And I love this. But I'm like,
Who are these other ones? I'm going to kill y'all.
A lot of people are like, well, it's not your wedding. She can do what she wants. A lot of photographers chimed in saying, this is inspiration to us. We love this. And then eventually I was like, well, if you want to see the full video, follow my page.
Right? Exactly. So how did you create it?
So
Because that took some work. I mean,
it's funny because I don't know. I just thought most videographers have people kind of give them like a script of what they want. And I use that Movie Mountains. And they're like, this is the first time someone wrote a full script for us. Like normally they just like do cute shots and they just put it together.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I have a beginning, middle, and end.
I love it.
Beginning part is the old Hollywood black and white vibe. Guy meets girl across the bar, walks up to her. Next scene is the elevator's closing in. They're about to kiss. Next scene, they're walking down the hallway. And that's where everyone's like, ooh, no, what's about to happen? But then it cuts over to like colored images. We're walking on the streets holding hands.
Cute.
We're
That's cool.
engaged.
Yeah.
We're about to get married. But of course, they only showed the clip of the black and white kind of
Right. Yeah.
risque scenes. It wasn't even really that bad, but
And how long was the video?
it was only 60 seconds.
Okay, perfect.
Really,
Short and sweet,
really
yeah.
short video. But some
cool.
people are like, I would never play that in front of my parents. They're like, what? You don't kiss at your own wedding? Like,
Yeah.
what's the
Yeah,
difference?
come on. Yeah, it's 2024. Yeah, exactly. That's so cool. I'm gonna go read the comments now. I love it. Okay, are you still working in events, or has the app became your main focus?
I am still working in corporate events, but lately I've been just taking more contract roles because it really gives me the flexibility to be able to still run my own business at the same time without any conflicts.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of growing and meeting people and networking and all of those things. So you're going to be at Wedding MBA this year, and you're doing a booth.
I am doing a booth,
Love
and
it.
I will also be participating in the Wed Talk small
Love it.
stage.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Have you designed your booth yet, or been working on it?
I am almost done designing it, but if you also know any extra vendors that could help me spruce it up, I could use the
Absolutely.
help.
I can send you some of our Vegas peeps. 'Cause
Okay.
Obviously, East Coast to West Coast is like, I don't know anybody out there. You know what I mean? So, yeah happy to
It's so
send you
funny.
some things on that.
I rented my own, or I purchased my own rug for the booth, and it came to our house. It is massive. I'm like, how am I supposed to ship this out or get this
Right.
into the show floor? So I may be looking at alternative methods for that too.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Or maybe just wait till, it gets closer and then just ship it as you arrive.
Yes.
So, yeah, the whole convention center of how that whole process works, because they're union out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can't touch anything. They have to carry everything in. It's just way different than East Coast. So, all right. Well, looking ahead, what is next on the wedding app? Any new exciting features or updates or any feedback that anybody's said or that you're thinking about?
We're constantly making updates
Right.
monthly. There's
Okay.
monthly updates happening to the app, and I definitely encourage people give me their feedback too. It really helps me out. As far as phase 2 that we are working on in the future, I'm going to have a vendor communication aspect. So right now it really is focused on guest communication and their schedule, whereas we're going to create it where all the vendors that are involved in that wedding can also communicate with each other. So their schedules will really look more like load in, load out time. Their floor plans are going to be arbor and the centerpieces and what that
Right.
decoration looks like. So then they still have a platform to be able to communicate. And also, again, if we need to notify the DJ, hey, she's about to walk down, cue the music, so they can have
That's so
be
cool.
using
Yeah.
the app for that communication.
Or maybe first look's running late and we want to communicate to the photographer that's driving over, hey, we're going to move it back 20 minutes or whatever.
Yes.
So, no, I think that's so awesome. So, like, for vendors, I guess, for on our side of that, it would just be we would send them the QR code for the vendors to download. Same concept as a guest?
Yes. it
Okay,
would
cool.
be.
And then do they click a certain way for them to be...
It isn't built yet, so
Okay.
we are still figuring how
Yeah.
that method is going to work out.
Right.
But for guests, I know we didn't touch on this earlier. When a guest is invited to the wedding, it
Yeah,
will
let's walk them through the experience of...
full experience.
Yeah.
So you get invited, whether it's a QR code or a text link. You'll create a profile, which is, I know a lot of people don't like creating new profiles, but it's
it's
a
short
one and
and
done,
sweet,
short
yeah.
and sweet. And then if you ever get invited to another wedding using the wedding app, it's already going to ping your profile that you're invited to another wedding. So it's going to
That's cool.
recognize you. But your invitation is going to be sitting in the pending section.
Okay.
So I have been the problem child. This is also another reason why I created the app, because there's been so many times where I forget to RSVP, or I'm a bridesmaid and I just assume they know I'm going.
Right?
And
Duh, you know?
of course. And then I have the passive aggressive bride asking, well, are you coming? I'm like, now that I've been a bride, it's very well deserved. They need to know, like, if my significant other's coming, they need to know what we're eating. They can't just assume that I'm coming.
Yeah.
So you'll get invited and it'll be impending, and you'll have like the basic wedding information, the schedule. But until you RSVP, then it'll switch over to confirmed, and then you'll have full access to all the features of the app. So it really does
That's cool.
incentivize their guests to RSVP.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So another thing I was thinking about with the app, so let's say obviously you put the menu on there. A biggest thing people always ask us is like, what are the cake flavors, because maybe they have a nut allergy or they want to know. So having that on there would be a super easy way, for people to know, like, oh, that's carrot cake, can't touch that, type thing. So
there is the menu feature on there, and you can also include visuals of what the menu looks like.
Cool.
And then you can also...
Because I always want to know what I'm eating. You know what I mean?
Same here. So a lot of people don't share that information.
That way I can get in the mood of what I'm going to be eating.
Yes.
So.
Know to prepare for. And then you can also collect any kind of allergies, like food allergies. It asks everyone that too. So you're able to collect that information.
Yeah, that's really huge. Because there'll be a lot of times we get to a wedding and they're like, oh, we have celiac. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Like, we're going to accommodate you, but it wouldn't be nice to know ahead of time, that they could put that on there. So
there's also the registry features in there. So what I suggest is people build out their own registries direct with the store. So Target, Crate and Barrel, wherever. And then you can take that link and just throw it into the registry. So you can have all your registries live in one place.
That's cool. That's very cool. So also after a guest does their profile, they download it. What is like the first thing they get or alert? Do they say, like, congrats on, becoming to the, Bob and Sally's wedding or anything? Or
that's a great idea. I don't have that yet, but
I love it.
Love the feedback.
Yeah.
Really, then they get the full access. They can see who else is invited. There's been many times where I've been invited to a wedding. I'm curious, like, oh, is our other sorority sister going? But I don't want to ask if she's not invited, so I can kind of see who is invited. Or I always joke around, I'm like, worst case, is your ex going to be there? And I can know, like, am I actually going to go to this wedding?
That happened to me not too long ago. It's a girlfriend that I know. She goes to a lot of weddings that are locally here. And she texted me, it's probably about a year ago, and she was like, I think my ex-husband's going to be there. Can you check the guest list?
Yes.
But she didn't have access. I had it, but they didn't have an app or anything for it.
And it's good because then you're not asking couples, like, redundant questions too, or like you don't want to put the couples in an awkward position either by asking. But it's like you do kind of like want to go around the system, like how else can I find out if this person's coming or not?
Can you hide the guest list? Like some weddings, if they want to be super private or something, is that an option?
So you can hide certain features. You can so there's different portals in the app. Again, the registry, the travel aspects, about the couple, the schedules. So if you do want to hide the whole guest list, you could hide it. Okay. Another thing that we are working on is also privacy of if people don't want to be visible to the guests, but they need to be visible to the admin. That we're working on a privacy view for that. One of my cousins, she married an old Yankee player's son. So there were former Yankees that were at the wedding, but they didn't want it to be about them. They didn't want people to know that they were there.
Right.
So that is another way that we're trying to figure out how we can get to more like incognito view for high profile people.
Just like social media, you can be a private on Instagram and they can't see any of your, so absolutely, for sure. That's cool. I love it. So with the wedding app, is it just for wedding industry, wedding people having their wedding, or can you do other things?
It is primarily for weddings, hence the wedding app.
Right.
But I have been working with other wedding conferences and summits that have utilized it for their conference. So I worked with Brandy Gard for the Wedding Pro CEO, and she had about 80, 90 wedding professionals out there. They had breakout sessions, keynote speakers. So we were able to utilize the app for her summit.
So could we use it, just throwing this out there, for the Grand Stone Bridal Expo?
You absolutely.
Could we use it for that?
Yeah, and you can have it where all your vendors can see who the vendors are, communicate with them.
Just the exhibitor side, not necessarily the people coming into the show, right?
Technically, you could do it either way.
Interesting. Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
No more website update the schedule. Download the app and you'll know everything. Because then we could alert them, hey, in 5 minutes, fashion show's starting on main stage or something. I like it. Okay, cool. Okay, what was the biggest hurdle you think you faced from starting the whole, other than interviewing like 16 people? But
it's funny because in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to create an app. I didn't realize I was creating a business. Right. And I wasn't prepared for that. I'm like, oh wait, it's not just about this app. Now I have to market it. Now I have to be present at expos. Now I need to hire a team of people, which is in the future where I do need to bring more people on and handle the social media side of it. I need a financial advisor. There's so many things that come with creating an app, the legality, having a lawyer. There's just,
Right.
I didn't realize what I was getting myself into, but I'm still going for it.
Right. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's with anybody that starts a business. Like, I just thought I was going to be a wedding planner and I was going to do my own little thing, you know, like you don't know until you get started, you know, what's all involved. So, no, that's really cool, and more power to you for dealing with an app, because just the tech side of it, you know,
yes.
like I just can't imagine, you know, because if something doesn't work, I don't know how to fix that, you know, so.
I got my developers on WhatsApp, so I'm constantly messaging
WhatsApp.
them. But it's funny because with technology, I mean, the app works great, but if we do make an update, there is a chance where it could mess something up on the back end of a different
Something else,
feature.
yeah.
Like, for example, I had a bride reach out to me this week, and the push notifications weren't showing up on her fiance's phone, but they're working on our phones. We're like, what could this be? Turns out it was
You had an Android.
and
I'm kidding,
it was,
but
and
I'm not.
It was in dark mode. For some reason, that setting glitched the push notifications, so we were able to make that correction right away. But that's also why I encourage people, let me know if you see something.
Right? Yeah,
that we
because you
may
don't
not think
know.
of.
Same.
Yeah.
Same with anything that we do. Like, someone may experience it different than when I logged in and everything was fine.
Yeah.
So prefer iPhones. No, I'm kidding.
Me too.
I was like, I bet it was an Android. So obviously it's for Android and iPhone, right?
It is, yes.
Okay. Is there any other thing out there? I mean, Android and iPhones, I guess, is the only
Yeah,
thing.
so,
Okay.
yeah, I'm on the Apple Store and Google Play. I think those are the two
Okay.
phone
So
providers.
tell us how they can go, I guess, find it, obviously.
Yes, so it is the wedding app -US. I'm trying to get that dropped. Someone stole my name and they don't have the rights to it. So another legal issue we got to work on.
Right.
But yes, you can get it on either of the
You go to the App
stores.
Store. Yeah. No, that's so cool. Okay, well, tell everybody, obviously, they can go to the App Store to find you. Where else can they find you? You're going to be in Vegas in November, so
Yes.
definitely go meet Kerry, look at the schedule. Do you know when you're speaking yet, or what day? Have they announced any of that stuff yet?
I believe it's Thursday.
Thursday the 14th, November 14th? Don't ask me why I know that, but yes.
I can't remember the time,
Yeah.
but I want to say it's like 12 or 1 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. And then you'll be coming to the Grand Stern Bridal Expo in January, so come see us at the expo. We'll have the app all built out for anybody attending, so that'll be fun. Anywhere else they can find you coming up here? Maybe Shark Tank one day.
Maybe Shark Tank one day. Still trying to get there. But I'm also very active on Instagram. So if anyone needs to get a hold of me in real time too, feel free to follow my Instagram and slide in my DMs. That's how I got to you.
I love it. Well, thank you for coming on This Takes the Cake, and until next time.